What is up, guys? Kitsos from Coasterland, and today we have the King's Dominion coasters ranked. Just getting right into it, we got number 12, which is the Great Pumpkin Coaster. This is actually the King's Island footage. Couldn't find any of it online of the King's Dominion version, but yeah, it's just a kiddie coaster, so not much to say here. At number 11, we have Woodstock Express. This ride is a small-scale Philadelphia Toboggan Company, or PTC, wooden roller coaster. It offers mild to moderate thrills and an overall pure fun ride experience for the whole family. After riding this a couple times over the years, including its clone at Kings Island and Carowinds, I find the ride very enjoyable and just an overall fun experience for the whole entire family. The ride offers a double out and back layout, and while short, is sweet for a family ride. However, as it is a kids' family ride, I cannot justify ranking it higher than number 11, but don't let it fool you. It does have some minor floater airtime and an overall enjoyable ride experience for the entire family. The number 10 spot, we have Apple Zapple, the park's Mack Rides Wild Mouse, or Wilda-Mouse as they call it, which is a large park model from Mack Rides. Now, there are not a terrible amount of clones of this. I mean, there are some, like 14 or 15, but considering the amount of Mack mice that are out there, it is one of the lesser common models of the Mack mouse. I mean, this coaster may be a clone, but it is the best Mack Rides Wild Mouse model by far that isn't in a fair setting because obviously Wild Mouse XXL is technically a Mack Rides Wild Mouse, but it's modified. This coaster offers a solid first drop before entering the standard Wild Mouse layout afterwards. The intensity is moderate and nothing crazy, but it is a good in-between coaster before getting the thrill rides of King's Dominion done. It's a great family thrill coaster. While solid, the park's awesome collection of coasters only allows me to stick this at the edge of the top 10 due to the obvious reason of it is a family thrill coaster, it is a clone, you can find it at other parks, so I think it makes sense to make it number 10 on this list. At number 9, we have Backlot Stunt Coaster, the Premier Rides family launch coaster that has two other clones in King's Dominion, Canada's Wonderland, and Kings Island are the three iterations of it. So Kings Island and Canada's Wonderland have the clones of this ride. While this ride is overall just an enjoyable family coaster, the upwards triple helix is what pushes it past Apple's Apple. The intensity of that element is quite solid and thrilling, and quite frankly, one of the more intense family coaster moments. Also to notice the excellent theming the ride has. The indoor section is also cool and brings the darkness head on. It is definitely pitch dark in that building, but before that, you have plenty of random police cars, and if you're lucky, the fire effect will be on before the second kind of mini launch. But overall, this is a solid ride with moderate intensity and a family-friendly experience, making it another great stepping stone for kids to get to the bigger coasters. I think that's something King's Island, or good lord, King's Dominion excels at, is that they definitely have a lot of intermediate family rides. That being said, it is a clone and still a family coaster, so it does place at the number 9 spot. At number 8, we have Anaconda, which may surprise some of you because I complain about this ride all the freaking time. But quite frankly, this ride gets a lot of hate, including from me at times, but is by no means great, but I do not find it to be as terrible as most say it is. The drop is strange by aero standards with that curve, and the loop and sidewinder are honestly really forceful, which really does push this ride up on the list, those two elements. But after those two elements, the ride does kind of die due to the mid-course brake run, followed by two boring helices that quite frankly do absolutely nothing for me except bang my head, of course. But, that kind of just happens on this ride. But then the double corkscrews following that are okay enough. They offer some decent hang time. And I believe that this deserves the number 8 spot, even if it does have a McDonald's color scheme. I mean, it does look like you're going to McDonald's when you look at the ride. But overall, not a terrible coaster, not a great coaster, just a mid tier ride that definitely has some thrills.
Double corkscrew. Ah! High arrow. Oh man, that was not as bad as I thought it would be, but still not good.
At number 7, we have arguably the park's most unique coaster in Reptilian. Now keep in mind that I have not ridden this ride, good lord English, since 2016, so I am unsure how it rides now. That being said, if memory serves, the ride is a fun, gimmicky coaster that adds some variability into the ride due to the bobsled track allowing free movement of the cars, which I always find to be interesting as this is the only bobsled coaster I have had the opportunity to doing because unfortunately literally every other Intamin Swiss Bob has been closed. Obviously this is a Mac. It is not particularly intense, but it does offer decent thrills and is another solid family coaster at King's Dominion. It is also a rare ride because of the diminishing number of the bobsled genre left. And after Alpine bobsleds at Great Escape is gone, which at this point it will be one of just 3 left in North America, with one being the wooden novelty known as Flying Turns, got burned by that as well, and also La Vibora at Six Flags Over Texas. So all that being said, the ride is still a family coaster, and thus places at the number 7 spot, but make no mistake, it's still a very fun ride and enjoyable. At the number 6 spot, we have Flight of Fear. Now, Flight of Fear is a really solid Premier Rides LIM coaster and is actually one of the original LIM launch coasters. While LIM launches are less popular due to extreme electrical requirements and also reliability issues, they definitely pack a punch. With more acceleration rate than that of the majority of LSM coasters, this ride absolutely catapults you to 55 miles per hour before sending riders through a twisted mess of track in the pitch dark, which is an added bonus in comparison to the outdoor spaghetti bowl model. If the ride was not so rough, it would be in the top 5, but god does this thing beat the heck out of you. That being said, it has great intensity, so it edges its way all the way up to number 6. It should also be noted that while rough, you will have a good time on this as long as you can handle the roughness a little bit. I wouldn't say it's unbearable, and it is overall a great experience that I highly recommend to anybody who visits King's Dominion. And also, if you want to beat the heat, it helps with that too, because, it is indoors. At my number 5 spot is literally the most controversial pick on this list. Some people would rank this last. It is, of course, Grizzly. This in-house built Woody just got a full retrack, but prior to that was notoriously brutally rough. How it rides now I am not sure because I have not ridden it since the retrack, but to be honest I love this ride because it was comically rough and turned a somewhat boring layout into a very interesting one that felt way more intense than it was due to the out-of-control bumpiness and roughness of the ride. To me, it was worth the multitude of bruises that the ride caused, and maybe the occasional concussion too. The ride is overall a great example of a polarizing attraction. Some actually agree with me on the fun factor. The majority of people do not. That being said, this is just my opinion, so it breaks the top 5, and to be quite frank, is a really fun ride that offers a lot of great intensity just simply because of its ridiculous rough layout.
Why? Just why? I can't put my hands up. The upstops are still spinning.
At the number 4 spot, we have Racer 75, the Philadelphia English Toboggan Company Racing Wooden Coaster, also known as PTC Wooden Coaster. This ride, when it is running both sides, has a great racing experience that adds the element of competition to a roller coaster, but unfortunately in my last visit it was not running both sides. Also going for it is that the ride is much smoother than one would expect for its age, and overall it is an epic creation. The intensity is not really there, but it does have solid airtime as many wooden coasters do from the classic 1970s era. The ride is the park's only racing coaster, and it fills the spot that many parks just forget about quite well. Now, that being said, it has a couple of slight bumpy moments, but those have since been fixed for the most part by retracking. It is an overall really smooth ride with a couple of jolts, but nothing really serious. They're pretty minor considering it is literally 50 years old, I believe, this year, or close to it. It's almost 50 years old. Sorry, it's 48, I believe. So, quite frankly, it runs pretty good for its age. At the number 3 spot, we have Dominator, the park's relocated B&M floorless coaster. For a relocated coaster, or honestly any coaster, this ride is ridiculously butter smooth. Originally located at the infamous, now for being closed, Cayuga Lake, this coaster features 5 awesome inversions and a very unconventional layout for a B&M coaster, featuring overbanks and, of course, a somewhat odd layout in general. Also, with its front of park location, the ride looks absolutely fantastic on the skyline. As for the ride itself, it brings the intensity, that is for sure, offering high forces and several almost Intamin-like rapid transitions, all with unbelievable smoothness that we have grown to love from B&M. The ride is one of the top B&Ms on my list and is a must-ride every visit to King's Dominion. It is quite intense, so just a fair warning. It got Papa to vomit a couple times in quick, con- quick, uh, quick concession. No, not concession. You get the point. He vomited consecutively. But to be fair, he had just drank 2 bottles of water, so I guess that was probably a massive factor in that situation. So unfortunately, it got him pretty good. If it was in another park, such as say Six Flags America, for example, it would be number 1. But in King's Dominion, 2 absolutely epic rides top it, which we are about to get into. At the number 2 spot, we have one of the most famous rides on this list. And to be fair, it was difficult to determine the top 2, and it is a very narrow margin. Now, at number 2, we have Intimidator 305. Now, to be fair, Intimidator 305 is an epic ride, but just one ride tops it in this park. This Intamin-built Giga Coaster is one of the best rides on Earth and features forces like almost no other. With forces exceeding 5 Gs unofficially, the ride has one of the most insane sustained positive force moments ever, with its low to the ground first turn taken at 90 miles per hour. Yes, 90 on a low to the ground turn. The ride offers several more whippy transitions that are absolutely ridiculous. This ride offers 4 extreme transitions that are unrivaled in their whip. Lastly, I have no idea how, but the ride remains nearly butter smooth despite the high stress on the track over the years. And at the number 1 spot comes a ride that made, once again, this top 2 difficult to decide between I-305 and, of course, Twisted Timbers. This Rocky Mountain Construction iBox coaster is one of the best of the genre. It offers intensity, insane ejector airtime, a reasonably long ride, and rapid-fire transitions. It is one of those rides I would happily wait hours for, and it is truly a top 5 coaster in Virginia. No, scratch that, top 3. The park hit a home run with this in 2018, and it truly amazes me every time I ride it. It also has a trio of airtime hills I like to call the Three Amigos that offer some of the strongest ejector airtime I have ever experienced, like Iron Gwazi level ejector airtime. Overall, it was the one to beat, and it ended up at number 1. So basically, as a side note, this ride is not for the faint of heart. I would definitely not recommend it for a first-time roller coaster rider as a first coaster of the day. It has some insane airtime, just absolutely ridiculous transitions, and it's just constantly launching you out of your seat. It deserves the number 1 spot more than I-305 by just a slim margin. Now, keep in mind that both rides are really similar in ranking on my list of top coasters, and honestly, they're interchangeable in all seriousness. So don't even take this as a knock on the ride or anything crazy like that. It's just mainly, uh, on I-305 that is. It's just mainly a preference thing. I've grown to love positive G's more than airtime, but this has such good airtime that I cannot ignore how great it really is. So that is my list of top 12 coasters at King's Dominion. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please click that like button and subscribe for more awesome content coming here to Coasterland in the coming weeks, months, years, and forever until I die. Until next time, guys, I really thank you for sticking with me. Until next time, peace, guys.